We first mentioned at the top of our show, Kentucky's senior Senator Mitch McConnell today announced that he will not seek re-election at the end of his term next year, marking an end to a long career in United States politics. Now, for some perspective on this major change, we welcome Dr. Jeffrey Budziak, Associate Dean and Professor of Political Science at Western Kentucky University. Dr. Budziak, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Senator McConnell has been in the Senate since the 1980s. He's already stepped away from his leadership position. He's had several health issues recently. He's also recently bucked the GOP trend and voted against Trump's cabinet appointees. So I ask you, does today's announcement really come as any surprise?
No, I think the only real debate was when he would announce that he'd be departing the Senate. But I think most people have expected for a long time that when he decided to resign from the leadership position and not move forward in that role, that he was making his way towards his retirement. So this is no real big surprise to anyone.
Yeah, agreed. Now, no matter one's political views, there's no question that McConnell has had a major impact on our nation, as well as the state of Kentucky. When history looks back on Mitch McConnell, what will it say from those standpoints? First, nationally.
Well, I think certainly nationally, McConnell is seen as someone who really personified someone who knew how to use power in the Senate. And he was really aggressive in his willingness to use power. He's, I think, very famous for standing up to the Obama administration with Supreme Court justices and some of the other initiatives that President Obama tried to enact. But I also think that his legacy is going to be complicated by his kind of continually deteriorating relationship with the Trump administration, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. I think locally, his reputation is very different. Senator McConnell is really an institution in Kentucky politics. He really was the Kentucky Republican Party for much of his career. And I think in many ways his legacy here is the strength of the Kentucky Republican Party today really owes its legacy and the strength it sees, in the current political environment to Senator McConnell.
Yeah, he definitely brought a lot of money back to the state and helped develop a lot of aspects of it. So I know a lot of people will really appreciate his legacy in that terms. But, you talked a little bit about him breaking with the Trump administration and MAGA, and that may affect his legacy. Do you expect to see, in what term he has left, do you expect to see him continue to kind of buck the GOP? Or do you think he'll fall in line and, vote for what President Trump and GOP wants?
If the first couple weeks of the second Trump administration are any indication, I think we're going to see a more independent Mitch McConnell. Now, there are going to be lots of things that the Trump administration does that Mitch McConnell believes in and will want to support, and we will see him vote to support those things. But his decision to reject or vote against several Trump nominees over the last couple of weeks, I think, suggests a streak of independence that maybe we didn't see during the first Trump administration.
Now, we've already heard a lot of people, or some Kentucky politicians, voice interest in running for McConnell's seat. Who stands out to you? Who do you expect to see throw their hat in the ring?
Well, certainly former Attorney General Daniel Cameron has already announced that he'll be seeking the seat from Senator McConnell, and he was, I think, widely expected to be interested in pursuing that seat. He's going to be, I think, a formidable opponent for anyone else who decides to run. He has lots of name recognition in Kentucky, having run an unsuccessful gubernatorial campaign just a few years ago. Congressman Andy Barr is someone who's made no secret about his interest potentially in running for Senator McConnell's seat. And then there's a variety of other folks whose names you hear around, but those are two of the most prominent people who I think are already connected to the seat today.
Okay, so what about a Democrat possibly taking this seat back? Is that a possibility? Governor Beshear possibly? And what do Democrats need to do to even have a chance at turning that seat?
Well, I think that those are related questions. Governor Beshear released a statement today wishing Senator McConnell a healthy retirement and to his health, but specifically said that he's not interested in running for the Senate seat. Now, for Kentucky Democrats, they would really love for Andy Beshear to run for this seat, because the reality is that there are just not very many Democrats who have the name recognition and the popularity of Andy Beshear. He's the only statewide elected Democrat in Kentucky. And so, I think his candidacy would put the Democrats in a much, much stronger place. Without that, you're really going to need to distance yourself from the national brand of the Democratic Party, which is just not very popular in Kentucky.
Yeah, and there's not much of a brand right now either. Okay.
No.
All right, Dr. Jeffrey Budziak, political science professor at WKU. We will certainly be watching what happens here, and we may seek you out for your perspective again in the future. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right.